The Middle Paleolithic Age in the Indian subcontinent occupies a specific block of human history. It begins roughly 100,000 years ago and ends around 40,000 years ago. To understand this era, we have to look at the severe technological constraints of these societies. No concept of the wheel, they did not cultivate crops, and had no domesticated animals. They did, however, possess one extremely crucial mastered technology heading into this period: the controlled use of fire. Without agriculture or livestock, their entire existence depended on a strict hunting and food-gathering economy. The baseline of the Middle Paleolithic is the story of surviving a harsh, static environment using a highly restricted set of tools. The global climate of this period was unforgiving. The Earth was still locked deep within an ice age. Across the Indian subcontinent, this global freeze created extremely cold and dry conditions, particularly in the higher altitudes. In the tropical zones, this climate shift caused a drastic increase in heavy, sustained rainfall. Facing these extremes, humans of this era lacked the engineering knowledge required to construct artificial houses or freestanding shelters. Look at the massive scale of this rock ceiling. Severe weather forced an absolute reliance on these naturally occurring geological formations for protection. To establish a settlement, early humans required three non-negotiable elements: a rock shelter, immediate access to fresh water, and dense forests for hunting. Because survival was dictated entirely by finding these specific geological structures, early human movement was tightly restricted to distinct ecological pockets. When we map the geography of the Middle Paleolithic, a clear pattern emerges. These settlements almost perfectly overlap with older, lower Paleolithic sites. We see this clearly in the north. The Belan River Valley in modern Uttar Pradesh is a primary example. These rock shelters hold immense archaeological value, showing continuous occupation across both eras. Moving westward into present-day Pakistan, we find similar continuity in the Son Valley. Following the terrain south into Rajasthan brings us to another major continuous settlement area in the Luni River Basin. And sweeping eastward across the Central Belt, the Chota Nagpur Plateau stands out as another concentrated hub of long-term human habitation. This static geographic footprint proves that early humans largely stayed anchored to the specific river valleys that guaranteed their survival. This pattern holds true as we shift focus to peninsular India, beginning with extensive sites discovered across modern-day Maharashtra. The banks of the Narmada River served as a crucial corridor for human activity in the central western region. Further south, the Tungabhadra River Valley provided similar vital resources. Beyond serving as water sources, these specific river sites functioned as vast geological deposits of raw stone. We find this exact same rocky environment anchoring the final major site on the eastern coast, around modern Visakhapatnam. Why did humans refuse to leave these specific river valleys for 60,000 years? These rivers provided an inexhaustible supply of raw stone, which was the absolute center of their technological world. Geographic expansion remained at near zero over 60 millennia because human society was completely tethered to these localized sources of raw material. The primary engine of human progress during this entire era was found in the incremental improvements made to stone tool manufacturing. Look closely at the thick, heavy teardrop shape of this singular stone. This represents the baseline Lower Paleolithic tool, bulky implements like early hand axes and cleavers. These older, heavier tools were made directly from the core, the main central mass of a large rock. The technological leap of the Middle Paleolithic involved intentionally abandoning the core to utilize the flake. The knapping process involves striking a large river stone on one side to break off a thin, sharp piece. The remaining chunk, shown in red, is the core, which is now often discarded. The detached, sharp piece is the flake. By prioritizing this smaller piece, the Middle Paleolithic becomes defined as a flake-based lithic industry. This manufacturing shift demonstrates strict cognitive resource optimization. Early humans learned to extract a sharper, lighter, and highly specialized cutting edge out of a single piece of raw stone. These are the specific new tools manufactured from those flakes, primarily scrapers and borers. Notice the refined, intentionally chipped edges that are entirely distinct from the bulky core tools. Because they were lighter and sharper, they were suited for precise tasks like scraping animal hides to make clothing or boring holes into wood. However, there is a common misconception that the invention of flake tools meant the old core tools immediately vanished. They did not. Hand axes and cleavers from the previous era were still actively used, but their proportional usage dropped drastically compared to the newer flake tools. Looking at this row of 5 highly refined, thin stone pieces, you can see how blade-like the flake tools eventually became, demonstrating the highest level of Middle Paleolithic tool-making precision. We are looking at a 60,000-year block of human history, defined not by massive cultural reinvention, but by the slow, vital optimization of a single physical technology. Spatial continuity across the Indian subcontinent remained absolute because the parameters for survival, accessible stone, rock shelters, and fresh water, never changed. The mastery of the flake tool provided the essential cognitive foundation that would eventually allow humans to break free from these specific geographic constraints in the Upper Paleolithic Age.